Hello, talking about congruent triangles. This video is just about the definition of what congruent triangles are. Now, the definition, we'll write the definition as two triangles are congruent. So two triangles are congruent if all corresponding parts are congruent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two triangles. There's one triangle. Here's two triangles. I'm not going to flip them, invert them, or anything like that. We'll say A, B, C. That one's D. That one's E. That one's F. Now, if you remember, corresponding parts are going to be, if I would take this triangle, pick it up, put it right on top of this triangle, the angles would line up, the sides would line up. So, first off, if we talk about angle A is going to correspond to angle D. These two need to be congruent to each other. So we can put one congruency mark there. Angle B needs to be congruent to angle E. They're in the same spot. So angle B is congruent to angle E. They need to be congruent. And angle C needs to be congruent to angle F. So we'll put 3 here because we don't know if the angles are congruent to each other. That's a little bit better. Focus it a little bit more. Now, the issue is that's only 3 parts of it. That's the angles. We need the sides as well. I always like to say, all right, take a look at the congruency marks. You have A and B, 1 and 2. So I have segment AB. That one's got to be congruent to the same segment over here between 1 and 2, which would be DE. Another way to look at it is angle A is corresponding with angle D. A and D correspond here. There's A, there's D, there's A, there's D. B and E, B and E. So if I take, for example, AC, A and D, D is going to be an endpoint for the one of the other sides, and C corresponds to F. F is the other endpoint. So I actually could put 1 here for AB is congruent to DE, and 2 for AC is congruent to DF. Pardon me, I have a cold today. And then finally we have BC is congruent to EF. So we have these 3 are congruent to each other. So this is what it means for triangles to be congruent to each other. You need to have 6 different congruency statements. And the 6 need to be 3 angles and 3 sides. If you don't have those, you don't have the congruent triangles. We are going to explore and find out that if I only have 3 parts, like 3 sides, or an angle, a side, and an angle, or a side, an angle, and a side, or an angle, and a side, and that's congruent to another one in another triangle, we can actually prove that the triangles are congruent in that case. But for right now, this is what we need to know. This is our good start for figuring out what triangles are congruent.